Well, Spain has slapped an arms embargo on Israel. France, Canada, and other countries are pushing for recognition of Palestinian statehood, and celebrities are lining up to boycott the Israeli film industry. But in his latest New York Times opinion editorial, self-proclaimed neoconservative columnist Bret Stephens says that none of these developments actually help Palestinians, and that instead they just foment anti-Semitism. This piece is riddled with contradictions, and it's overloaded with rhetorical tricks, but it lacks a tremendous amount of logic. Here are a few examples of that. Now, Stephens says France and other countries recognizing Palestine is a diplomatic victory for Hamas, but recognition of statehood is not an endorsement of Hamas or any armed group. Recognition is aimed at a nation, a people, a territory, the right to self-determination. So when countries talk about recognizing Palestine as a state, they're treating Palestine as a subject of international law. But Stephens here just conflates Palestinian political aspirations with Hamas's armed tactics. He also suggests Spain's arms embargo is not really meaningful because Israel doesn't sell weapons to Spain, but that Israel should retaliate nonetheless by cutting off Spanish contracts since Spain relies on some Israeli defense technology. Well, if Spain's embargo is empty, then there's no reason to retaliate. But if retaliation would hurt Spain, then the embargo isn't exactly meaningless. He also says that these moves will effectively exacerbate anti-Semitism in the West. Now, this equates criticism of state policy with the hatred of a people. Anti-Semitism is a real problem that needs to be addressed, but conflating it with policy criticism is just flat out wrong. Stephens also implements this double standard fallacy in which he says that, well, if actors are going to boycott Israeli film institutions, then they should also boycott Iranian film institutions or Chinese films. Different campaigns can target different injustices. It's not logically required that every movement address every other injustice. But if you're a neocon like Bret Stephens, that would fit neatly with your worldview. Neocons often demand that critics apply one standard everywhere, even though they're very selective about it. It's a way to delegitimize any single criticism by insisting that it must be global or it has no value whatsoever. Lastly, this piece completely ignores U.S. interests. It takes recognition of Palestine boycotts and embargoes solely through the lens of Israel's security, while saying nothing about how America's endless backing of Israel affects U.S. credibility, its alliances, or what security costs it imposes. This is a classic example of a manufactured Stephens polemic. It's loud, self-certain, but really flimsy once you start to strip away the rhetoric. It's just professional outrage writing. You should read it at your own risk.